And I remember the bartender, this guy Dave, who's a friend now, is like, and he denies that he said it, but I know he said it. He goes, well, if you want to be a comedian, just get the divorce now. And that was like a chip that I put on my shoulder of like, I'm going to make this work. Like he gave me a gift there. I'm like, no, I'm going to be good at this and I'm going to be even better at the family stuff. Hot breath.
Welcome back to Hot Breath, the show where you learn comedy from the pros. I am your host, comedian Joel Byers, and our guest today is one of those self-made comic stories we love to share on this show. He's currently in town, headlining a weekend here at Helium in Atlanta, but I've been following this guy since he was coming to Atlanta, doing one-nighters in distilleries, and then coming back and doing one-nighters at comedy clubs, and now he's doing his own national tours. And when he's not doing that, he's busy opening up for Nate Bargatze, doing sold-out arenas. And we're gonna learn all about how he did it while balancing a full-time family. Ladies and gentlemen, hot brother and sister, and welcome to the show, Mr. Dustin Nickerson.
Woo! Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate you having me.
No, thank you for doing this. I've been a fan from afar for a while.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah,
so,
it means a lot to me.
Yeah, man, thank you. And something, I love the timing of us actually doing this because I just had my first kid last year.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. But now my mindset around comedy has been, well, how much do I want to be gone? And then how much do I want to be home?
Yeah.
And it's been a weird, my daughter's 16 months, but since she was born, I've been in this like kind of purgatory of like, well, do I want to go out or do I want to be home? And if I do go out, I feel guilty. So like I know you started comedy when you already had 2 kids. So like,
yeah, I had a really different kind of story. Like I was 27, married 9 years with 2 kids when I went to my first open mic. So I was like a late start, totally established life. I am probably counter than a lot of comedians than I'm more so than other comedians, but like because of that, I had a family before. I want to have a family after. Like Eddie Murphy said in his most recent documentary, if you put any decision you make thinking about your family, you'll never regret it. And I kind of live by that. Like it is a balance, but I balance way more in the favor of my family, to the fact that we've never moved to LA or New York, even though that would have been, especially early on in my career, exceedingly advantageous. But they like it and they're in good schools and they like their life in San Diego and where we live. And I would also like quit tomorrow if they asked me, like in a heartbeat. And I know like that's like a thing that like comics sometimes are like, because you get so precious about it. You're like, what's wrong with you? Of course you would quit. Like if you are anything as a husband, father, partner, of course you would quit. So that being said, I work my tail off. Like I'm out 48 weekends a year and have been every year of my career, like since I went pro. So it's not like I'm not working, but I it is a balance, but what I would say to you as a newer dad, like, is it's very seasonal. Like, don't make a conclusion now for how you're going to balance your time because it's going to change. Like my son's senior year in high school last year, I took way more time off than I did this year because it's the senior year. So there's more, there's prom, there's final cross-country races, there's senior nights, there's graduation. I took way more time off than right now. I have, my daughter is a sophomore and a sixth grader, and this sounds terrible, but like you can miss a little more of that. But like 16 months, that's an age where you can lay that kid down and go do spots. I had young kids when and that's a good time because you can just lay the kid down, goodbye. Like I'm out of here and I'm gonna, so you can do all the good dad stuff. And frankly, my wife, who was pregnant with our 3rd child, when we had the 3rd child, she wanted to go to bed anyway. So really the first 5-6 years of my life where I had a full-time job and my comedy career, I had a full-time job and we had young kids. Only I took from me in the sense that I was taking my sleep away because they would go to bed and my wife would go to bed, and then the clubs that I got passed at in San Diego, I would just always go on last. Like like the La Jolla Comedy Store is my home club, and they do this thing Best of San Diego, which is the regulars there. We would do Sunday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and I would just go put me on last. I'm gonna get there at like 10:30 p.m. And whatever's left of the crowd, I'll go perform for them. So like that's a season where you can do that, but working the road with a baby, that's a different story.
Yeah, yeah. And I almost part of me even feels like guilty leaving for some reason. Like even to go to a spot, I'm like, well, I'm not getting paid. It's like 5 or 10 minutes. What is that really?
Yeah, and you should feel guilty.
Okay.
But I don't think that means the guilt is right, but I do think that that's the right spirit.
Okay.
Like, I can only speak for myself. This is going to be a theme here in this podcast, by the way.
Well, you're the guest. Yeah.
I don't like giving advice.
Yes.
And I don't like telling people how to do, and I don't know what works and what doesn't work. I can only tell what worked for me. But I think that little bit of guilt is a good thing because it shows your priorities, which is like, I want to make my family work more than I want to make comedy work. In that order. It's like I want to be a good husband, I want to be a good dad, I want to be a good comedian. Those are the three. And the first open mic I ever went to, I remember I went and I was just asking questions. That was the perk of starting later, is like you just knew like, I got to figure this out. I'm not like a child. I have to like, who's in charge here? What does it mean to be a regular? All that kind of stuff. And I remember the bartender, this guy Dave, who's a friend now, is like, and he denies that he said it, but I know he said it. He goes, well, if you want to be a comedian, just get the divorce now. And that was like a chip that I put on my shoulder of like, I'm going to make this work. Mm-hmm. Like he gave me a gift there. I'm like, no, I'm going to be good at this and I'm going to be even better at the family stuff. And I just want to show that I want to model to other comedians. Like you can have a good marriage and be close to your kids and also have a good career. It's you should do it that way. There's like so many comedians take this like honor in like like their art first. And you're like, just stop. That's so pretentious and stupid. They'll say that and then they'll go up and like, tell dick jokes. And you're like, really? That's your art? You missing your kid's birthday for that? That's the one? That's the one. You worked out that new Spirit Airlines bit tonight? So you missed your anniversary again to go work out that hack bit? I find it wildly self-involved and it just reeks of self-importance and I hate it with everything in me.
Yeah, and I think that's part of my mindset, like back and forth right now, is like, well, I'm a comedian and you're supposed to be on the road and you're supposed to be doing these dates and you're supposed to be out working out new bits and you're supposed to be like filming these specials, and then me not doing those things as much as I were. Am I even a comedian? Which is ridiculous. I have like the best gift in the world, which is a loving wife and an amazing daughter, and my comedian brain's like, but you're really funny and you're supposed to be like really famous comedian and you're not doing that right now because you're, being a good person and putting priorities in front of your job. I just,
and not to go all deathbed on you, but I just don't think we're all, we're going to be hooked up and on our last breaths. Like, man, I wish I'd have done a couple more spots. Gosh, if I'd have just done one more spot a week, I probably would have gotten a Tonight Show. It really would have worked out for me. You're like, I just have no interest in it personally. I just, I think the only, I'm taking this on a headier level than anybody wants it, but I think the only true way to have happiness in life is through healthy relationships. With your partner, with your kids, with your friends, with your family, with your neighborhood, whatever it may be. Like, because I know there's a lot of successful comics out there and musicians and athletes, and they're miserable. Mm-hmm. They've reached the highest level of success, and they have no joy from it. And it's in part sometimes because they banked that if I just get there, then I'll be happy. Once I reach the mountaintop, then I'll be happy. And it's just not there. It's just there's not happiness waiting for you there. But there is real joy in, like The happiest time of my week is my wife and I, like 3 or 4 times a week when I'm home, we'll have a bottle of wine and play Yahtzee. Like, that's my best. That's better than any set. That's better than any sold out show. That's better than any credit. That's better than going viral. That's better than any of those things. Because that's like real joy right there. So, I don't know. This is a rant that nobody asked for. I just don't think that I understand that sentiment. And I think I felt it, especially like in the social media area where it's very easy to feel FOMO and you just see everything that people are getting and it's easy to feel like, gosh, if I just do a little more. And that's very normal and that shows that you have ambition, but I don't think older us. Every interview that you ever hear from every old person is, I wish I wouldn't have worked so much. I wish the kids grew up faster than I thought. I thought I had more time. Every single one of them say the same thing. I wish I wouldn't have worked so much. Did you see that some of the Steve Jobs' daughter said in her book?
No.
Where he said, like, it was like towards the end. I heard this on an interview recently where he said, he said to his daughter, like, I wish we would have had more time. And she goes, you just would have worked more. And you're like, oh
God. Oh my.
That's like haunting, right? So I think that's your natural ambition will like lead the way. And if anything, you're going to lean towards doing more for yourself than your family. But that's normal, but just let that family counter that out and realize that there's other people in your world that would like you to be around.
So if you're doing 48 weekends a year and having this family, is it you're just at home? When you're home completely, and then everyone understands, okay, the weekends, this is how the whole family makes money essentially, and everyone's on board with it?
I'm a fireman. I always say it's a fireman schedule. That's what firemen do. They work 3 to 4 days a week. Full time. They're gone. They're not, you can't go visit them. They're not coming to your house. But then when they're home, they're home. So I do all my socials, all my emails, all my communication. Like, my representation knows to not call me when I'm home. I won't take the call. I don't care if it's HBO. Not that they're calling, but I just, I'll do the absolute minimum. I'll schedule my post. I'll have all that done. I do all my emails on planes so that when I come home, I just shut everything down and I'm just here to drive everybody around and go to as many things as I can because I can't go to any of them when I'm gone. So that's how I do that. So again, there's probably people who are like, you work more than you need to, and I get that, but I do have that ambition. I do have that drive to want to, tour, a guy that can tour 150 cities in America and do 48 weekends and sell out shows and get the clip. And that's all there. That's all in there, but I just try and balance it with, okay, now when I'm home, I don't need to do any of that right now. I did enough this weekend.
And what is your wife's role in all this? Because I saw her bio on Instagram as CFO of Dustin Nickerson Comedy. And, a mutual friend of ours is Kev on Stage.
Yeah.
He's talked about how important his wife has been in his career.
Right.
So, what role has Melissa played in all this?
So, I had like a gift years ago where I had a comedian friend who was like on the brink of divorce. And he told me, like, I overheard him in the fight with the wife. They were like right there. And he told me, he goes, as you get bigger, your instinct is going to be to take things off of her plate. Like, hey, these things that you helped with early on in the career, you don't have to help them with them anymore. We can do it. We can hire help. We can do these things. And he goes, you got to fight against that too. You gotta, if anything, get them more involved in different things, because now it's us. Now it's not your thing. Because like that guilt that you're feeling, where you're like, you're going off and doing that. You're going off and doing that. And don't get me wrong, that is like a tension in our home at times, like where it's like, well, you leave and da-da-da-da. But now that, like, when we incorporated, she was like, hey, I'm gonna take over. I'm gonna run the books and the accounts and do all the budgeting, and Like she already did that for the house anyways, but I'm going to do it for the business and work with the accountant and all that kind of stuff. And so that's an enormous role. Like that's a huge thing to do. So she does that. We do the podcast together. So that's a creative thing that we do together. And then just like today, like getting a graphic approved. Hey, what do you think of this? Can you double check the dates? Like those just kind of, she double checks all the content, and she's good at it too. Like she had one a while back, like not to get in the weeds of any of how our business works, but like most of the time when a club pays me, they pay my agency and then my agency wires me. That's how it goes now after the agency takes their cut. And they just missed a gigantic one that Melissa caught that I would have never caught in a million. So she's going over the contracts like, hey, they forgot to put this 300 in for travel. Like, because, people aren't always perfect at their jobs. They make mistakes. So she's in the weeds absolutely with me. And that helps because now we view it as like, we're a business and I'm the product. Mm-hmm. And it's my job to work on the product. I build the product, I sell the product, I go and perform the project. I'm a traveling salesman of the product. Sometimes literally I'm selling books and t-shirts, and that's another thing. She helps with the merchandise. Like she does the orders. She works with the local printing company. Like she's in the nitty-gritty of it all. So it is a we thing in that regard.
When you mention that tension, have there ever been moments of what are you doing? You quit like a stable job to do this comedy thing. It's not really working out. Like if you had those moments of kind of sink or swim, or
I mean, I was under the mindset that because I had a family, my rule was I wouldn't quit my day job until I had a year in the bank and a year on the books. So that way, if everything went to hell, I had 2 years. Okay. Like that was always my mindset of like, if we've saved up and if we've got work ahead of us, then I'll be okay. Like we can give this a go. So there wasn't a ton of tension. I am very lucky and fortunate that my wife is an artist and she gets it. Like as far as like the desire to want to just make things and create things. I don't put the label artist on me or stand-up, but she gets the idea that like you just want to make something. You have something to say. You gotta, and you have an ambition that's attached to it. Thankfully, pretty early on once I quit, I was making more in comedy than was a day job. So the good news is I couldn't make any money in any other job than stand-up. Like this is proven much more lucrative than anything else I was doing. So in that regard, financially, it's been good. But there were definitely moments. COVID was hard, but that was another time where she was great because she was out like just working with the state of California and getting the aids and the loans, and like she was just on top of that stuff immediately. She's like, we got to stop paying for insurance. Let's get on Medi-Cal because we don't have any more income coming in. Just boom, boom, boom. Like just that's again stuff that I get a lot. One of my best friends is Taylor Tomlinson, and she always jokes. She's like, I need a Melissa. Yeah. And I go, I know. Most comedians would be really, really, really benefit from a Melissa. So we didn't have too many sink or swim moments. And honestly, when I quit my day job, it was a relief because I was so busy. By the end, I was working 2 full-time jobs. For the better part of like 18 months or 2 years, my job was it was like middle management at a rec center. And I would work during the week. I would work like Monday through Thursday, and I would look long hours so I could get up to the 40 hours when I could. This was like my rough schedule. And then usually on Thursdays or early Friday mornings, I would open the rec center. So I'd get there like 4, and then I would leave around 11 or noon to either go catch a flight or drive to my gig. And then I would do that over the weekend. And then on Sunday, because this is before, like when I started, like features didn't get rooms a lot.
Yeah.
That wasn't provided the way that it is now. So usually on Sunday, I would go sleep in the airport, get up, fly back home to San Diego, take a shower, and then I would go close the rec center on Mondays. So I would work 12 to 8 on Mondays. And so when I was doing that for the better part of 2 years, and when that ended, we were like, whew. So it wasn't fear, it was relief, because it was like, oh wow, Dad's around. So yeah, we've never had any real big financial scares, which I'm really, really grateful for, and I don't take for granted. And a large part of that was because, comics like Tim Hawkins took me out, and that just was hugely helpful because Tim was so generous, and you would make so much money too. So it was like that floated us for a long time,
Yeah, and you've had one of these careers similar to I've had Zoltan on here, and we talked about with his career, it was one of these like steady, incremental, year after year, like a little bit improving every single year, and then over 10 years later, 15, 20 years, it's like, oh, this compounded into like a sustainable, successful
sold out the
career.
Center Stage here in Atlanta.
I got to open for him for that.
Did you?
It was
yeah,
insane.
How was it?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And his fans, that's like getting to work with a comic like him who has built a fan base over years and years and years. He has a comedy fan base.
Oh gosh,
happy people that love to come out to shows.
Yeah, Zoltan brought me out early on. I didn't get your version of Zoltan's fans.
Yeah,
I got Zoltan before he had fans.
yeah.
But Zoltan has always. I was so blessed to start in San Diego. So San Diego has 6 clubs. So there's tons of stage time. There's no money, but there's tons of stage time. And when I started, I had an incredibly hungry class. I started with Derek Poston and Asana Mod, both regulars on Rogan and Mothership guys. And there was a bunch of really good other comics in the time too. James Schrader was there. He's if you've seen the Sasquatch commercials, that's James Schrader. Yeah, the long hair guy. That's James. Ryan Hicks was very funny. There were so many good comics at the time, but also Brian Simpson and Taylor Tomlinson. We were like all micers together, which is a crazy scene to start in, especially out of San Diego. It was just very random that that San Diego in this little window had like 5 pros it was going to produce, and so we were like hungry and pushed each other, and we're at mics together and really grinded. But at the time, Zoltan was like our local headliner. He was like the guy that worked the road. Like I remember when Zoltan quit his day job. I remember he was working at an automotive center. It was like a mechanic shop, and he was cooking the books for them. And I remember it was a big deal because he had a good NACA and got a bunch of college gigs and quit his job. And so I did some road gigs with Zoltan early on, but they were like the B and C clubs of the world. And so I didn't get that version of Zoltan's fans. But I do think that is, that's how I always say, like, my career thus far has just always been like this. It's just been like every once in a while, like this weekend, for example, because I've had a bit go really big this weekend, probably the biggest bit I've ever posted, go like this, just a little higher, and then every once in a while we'll do a dip. But there's never been this, and there's never been this, and everything that everybody tells you is better, and it's more sustainable. But I also am not under... I don't think it's a guarantee that it'll get bigger because you don't know that stuff. It's very hard to sell tickets. It's so much harder to sell tickets than be funny. And there are so many comics who are so funny, so much funnier than me, that don't sell as well as I do. And there are other comics that you go, really, that one's big. You just don't know. It's very random. It's very unpredictable. But like Seth Rogen said, like the only way to truly fail is to quit.
Yeah.
But you just like look at Nikki. Nikki's such a great example of who just like kind of was here and then boom with it was Last Comic, right? That Nikki was on and then just had some like ups and then in the last 3 years is Where'd that come from? Where'd Matt Rife come from? Like it's just. The last time I had seen Matt, he was literally we were doing a COVID gig, and he was setting up chairs, and we were performing out of the back of a pickup truck. And we're like, wow, Matt's the biggest comic in the world. So, it's all, there is a randomness to it, and I always try and tell myself that the goal was to be a pro. That was it. If you could be a professional stand-up comedian, then you have won. That's it. Kanang talked about this recently. He's like, I pay my bills with this. He goes like, I ride a BMX bike a few times. And that's what it is. It's like, dude, I woke up at 10 today. I went on a walk to get coffee and a smoothie. I dinked on my phone for a little while. Like, it's not, if you do this, you win, and if it takes off, great. If you get that Zoltan or whoever it may be, but if not, you still won, because I'll take it over a day job,
Of course.
Yeah.
And even my mindset, like going back to the family for just a minute, but last year I was on the road the least I've ever been, and I had my best year ever.
There you go.
And that was like a weird dichotomy of like, oh, interesting, I'm grinding less, but I'm making more.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting kind of sign that, okay, follow that more.
Well, you're thinking right there, because the only thing you should be comparing yourself to is previous you. That's it. Not whoever else is in your world, whoever you think is your peer. Your only competition is previous you. And there are some metrics, of course, like your following, your dates, your money, your sales, all that kind of stuff. But more so, I think it's your writing. You're like, am I writing new bits that I like? Is my, what somebody talk about, is my skill catching up to my taste? Like I've always thought this was the best stand-up in the world, but I can't do it yet. Am I getting better at this? That's the only thing you should be comparing yourself to, which is hard to do, because you're just like, oh, so-and-so had 75 sold-out shows. Great. Oh, incredible. Whole tour sold out. Fantastic.
Right, yeah.
I'm looking at about 30 for the Sunday show here in Alpharetta. We'll see if that picks up. Maybe we'll get to 40.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a really interesting kind of different perspective as well, of comparing to myself versus what other people are doing and things like that. It's something I do enjoy about your comedy is how relatable it is as well. My favorite jokes are the ones when people come up after and it's like, that's just like me, or that's just like
totally
her. Like, and you seem to be able to do that consistently. Your jokes seem, and your content seems to be resonating with your audience on that level consistently. Are you aware of that? Are you intentional about trying to create with that in mind? Or
I honestly think it's a byproduct of the first question that you asked, which is I am able to think and write of those jokes because I'm very involved with my family. Like I'm in my marriage. Like I'm not at my marriage. I'm in my marriage. I'm having these conversations. I'm fighting. We're forgiving. We're trying to empathize. We're trying to compromise. We're like getting in the weeds on the hard stuff. Like I go to the games. The reason that I can have 5 minutes on volleyball tournaments is because I go to the tournaments when I can. I have like a hot minute on like 3 or 4 minutes on cross country right now. It's because I go to the freaking meets. Like it is. If you live a relatable life, you can write relatable material. So go be in your community. Go to your coffee shops, go to your people, talk to the people in the stands, or don't talk to them and write a bit about how you don't like talking to them. Go to the PTA meetings, walk the halls of the schools with your kids, like go to the back to school nights. It is relatable if you do it. So it is like, and that's like, I mean, talk about selfish. That I know that there is like a selfish gain that I get from like being involved. Like one of my favorite things in relation, I see people, especially in this last hour we just recorded, where people are like hitting each other. Like I have a bit about how every relationship has a good sleeper and a bad sleeper, and obviously that came from my life, which is my wife's the good sleeper and I'm the bad sleeper, and then talking to other couples and seeing that they have it too, and they start hitting each other. You're like that, or we got in a fight because I said a word she hadn't heard me say, and that got people, like I'm just in it, and that's, again, you can be relatable if you live a relatable life.
Yeah, and being clean while you do it as well, but not in the sense of you just happen to be clean, but it's funny first.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite bits, because I'm clean and I'll get asked a lot of questions about being clean from younger comics, and I show them your bit that you closed, or it was like your second to last joke on Runs in the Family about your kids getting older and trying to balance your love life, and ending with, you know, like the fan can only get so loud. So that's like a premise that could easily go dirty. So how are you able to walk the line and it still be just knockout funny first?
Yeah, so I think of it as like comedians, what we do on stage is like we're building a world that we're inviting people into. So in certain people's world, certain things exist and other people's don't exist. So there's certain comics that they're like, politics don't exist, sex doesn't exist, conflict doesn't exist, you know, like current happenings don't exist, whatever. And that's absolutely their prerogative. Do whatever you want. I don't care. You do whatever you want. In my world, sex exists. We are cognizant of the fact that we know we've procreated. They didn't just appear. And, you know, it's like Dusty's a great example. Dusty is a clean comic, and Dusty talks about drugs all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, not all the time, but it's in there.
Yeah,
and so drugs exist in his world. And for me, I don't love when people attach like a morality to working clean. I have like, do whatever you want in comedy. If you want to work dirty, then be filthy. I don't care. You know, I don't think it's important to work clean or dirty. I think it's important to work authentic. Go be who you are up there. When I think about my favorite comics in the world, I think about like Maria Bamford, Brian Regan, Dave Attell, and their varying levels of clean. And I mean, and Attell being as filthy as you can get, but it's genuine and it's silly, and that's why I like it. I think it's, am I connecting with an authentic person up there? That's what I like. So I'm a fairly clean-cut guy, and that's, and I'm also cognizant of the fact that I have teenagers who are online and see these jokes that I write and post, and so I don't want to like embarrass them. I try to be, you know, mindful of that. Anyone in my family has veto power over a joke. If they tell me I don't like that joke or the way I look in that joke or even the topic, then I'll not tell the joke anymore. But I don't think there's a morality to dirty or clean. You just got to be who you are up there. And I have two distinct memories of watching comedy with my dad as a teenager. One was Robin Williams and one was Jeff Foxworthy. And we watched Foxworthy and we sat and we laughed together. It was incredible. And Robin Williams, we would have laughed if we watched it separately.
Right.
And I just think I like creating a thing that families can watch together, particularly like teens, older teens, because my act is like PG-13, but I told that joke on TV. I did that joke on Corden, like the stay up late, you know, son getting older. And so I also think for me, not like, it's a fun challenge to be like, how can I get into this topic without being super, which is not saying, it makes you edit, and anything that makes you edit is a good thing, for me at least. So I tell comics like, being able to work clean will only open doors for you. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be a clean comic, but being able to work clean will open some doors for you. But I also don't fully, I know like some people do it for like, people are looking at Nate right now and going like, gosh, clean is the way. And I do think that there is a level of truth to that, just very practical because of how many you can buy more tickets from those people. But first off, remember, Nate is selling numbers no one has ever sold. Mm-hmm. And the only reason, but for that logic to still work, all of the top comics would need to be clean. If you're like, well, you're going to sell more tickets if you're clean. No, you're going to sell more tickets if you're Nate.
Yeah.
like, don't give clean the credit to Nate. Give Nate the credit to Nate. Mm-hmm. Nate is he's unbelievable. He's writing like, I mean, when Seinfeld's like, your bits are gold. I mean, Nate turns a new hour around all the time. You're like, this is some of the best material I've ever heard. And you worked us out in an arena. How did you do this? So yeah, Nate plus clean and that level and SNL and the internet and it's all of the package. But you're like, well, the second comedian is probably Shane.
Right.
And Shane's not clean at all. So the logic doesn't really play out that like clean, because then all the cleanest comics in the world would be huge. And as we know, they're not.
Right. Yeah.
So it's more about the individual and the act. And as long as it's genuine, I don't care, because there's some filthy comics out there that I'm like, this is hilarious,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I just happen to be clean just because that's what's authentic to me.
That's what matters. Yeah.
Because I'm like a youth pastor or just...
It'd be weird if you and I were dirty.
Exactly.
I don't think people would like the idea that
Yeah.
it's also part of the reason I can't get mean on stage.
Me too.
Yeah.
Same.
Because people just go like, ooh.
Why?
And then you got to get back into, you're like, I've been married 21 years. And I was like, geez, man.
Yeah, early on, I would be a little angrier or try to have a little bit of edge to me, and then people would just be like, "Why? That's not nice. Why?" It's almost like they're looking at their son, like that's not how we raised you.
No, this is why I have the way I have to handle hecklers and stuff. Even then, I still have to be kind of polite about it because I can't, and I've only learned that through enormous trial and error. Of that, if I get mean and genuinely mad at a crowd member, I can't get back into the act. I just can't get back into my jokes because they saw a side of me that I was not presenting on stage. So I have tools for it. There's ways to do nice crowd work. There's ways to nicely handle hecklers. And I still, there's sometimes it goes well, other times it doesn't go well because that's the nature of hecklers. But I can't turn red up there or they just go like, how do you get back into it?
Right.
How do you get back into an act about a joke about Cinnabon when you were just yelling at somebody to shut up,
Mm-hmm. It seems that smiling on stage more can kind of help get away with a little bit more of like a meanness as long as you say it with a smile.
Yeah. It's a tool for sure. Like I have a joke right now where it is on the dirtier side, but I kind of like smirk through it and I'm kind of showing that it's dirty, like I'm kind of sheepish about it, and it's a tool. That's one of the nice things about doing it longer is like, oh wow, I'm getting a lot more like I don't know, I'm just getting the tool bag's getting bigger here. I've got more options in here. Like I have a couple jokes right now where I was telling my wife this, where like I add to the punchline without saying anything. Whereas, like, I'll do, like, kind of like a quiet act out. Like, I talk about my daughter losing the volleyball tournament. I'm not sad. And then I put the mic down. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. There's little things like that. You're like, oh, that's fun. I'd stretch in the joke another 30 seconds now. Well, tonight's crowd, 7 seconds. But sold out shows. That gives me an extra 30 seconds before I get my one beer post show.
We're speaking life into the career.
Exactly.
Here.
Yeah. It's all brick by brick, though. That's my motto on my career. Like, I am not in competition with, Colin Jost when he sold out this club. I'm in competition with me, which is the last time that I came through here. I played the Earl, and I sold more tickets this time. Great. And I might not sell as many next time either, by the way, but that's what I'm looking at. Just, for me, just measure yourself against yourself. Mm-hmm. That's it. Because then it's internally motivating. And then you're like, I got to get better. I got to do more. As opposed to external motivation, like looking at other people and trying to bring them down. And, like, what are they doing that I need to do? I heard somebody as he's like, this was great for me because people are motivated differently. And there's no right or wrong to this. But he's like a sports psychologist. And he talked about he has two quarterbacks that he works with, Josh Allen and Sam Darnold. So one winning a Super Bowl. I'm a Seahawks fan, so Sam Darnold's my guy. But won a Super Bowl, high-level guys. And he said, Josh is externally motivated and Sam is internally motivated. So if he says to, hey, Sam, last time you did this, you did that many reps. Let's see if we can beat this. Then Sam's like, all right, I got to beat myself. And he says to Josh, and he goes, hey, just so you know, Sam did this many reps. Then that motivates Josh. So everybody's different, but I like I like my mind and soul and peace of mind more when I'm internally motivated and not being like, what's so-and-so doing,
Yeah.
because that's not gonna, it's all very circumstantial anyways. I'm getting kind of rambly here, but
It's all relevant. Yeah. And I think working with, it's similar to like me opening for Zoltan this weekend, of even just getting in that environment and seeing what's possible and feeling the energy of that.
Right.
So you've gotten to do that with the top 1% of comedy. Like you've been around. I mean, you opened for Nate, Taylor, Tim Hawkins, if people don't know, is like the biggest church comedian, right?
So much so that I think no one has ever really taken the mantle.
Yeah, he's I don't know how much he's making, but like he's making more than probably most people's favorite comedian, and he's just working under the radar like that.
Yeah, Tim's doing pretty well.
Yeah,
it has been for a long time.
Yes. Yeah. So what are some like big things you've learned from working with that level that you're able to apply to your own career?
Yeah, I mean, I was very fortunate that I started with like Nate and Taylor I've been so lucky, and I'm going to use the word just straight up lucky, and that I was able to foster relationships and start with Taylor. Taylor and I were open micers together, so she's like a little sister to me. Nate is different because Nate was already a bit of I don't want to use the word hero, but like, I mean, I was like certainly a guy I looked up to. And, even though he's not that much older than me, but comedy-wise, he's significantly older than me. And I was just like, gosh, look at that career. Look at those bits. Look what he's doing. I just love everything. Whereas Taylor was the opposite. Taylor was young when we started. So we were friendly, but we weren't friends because I was a full adult man. I can't be like, how are classes, Taylor? Taylor was like 18. So, we didn't have much in common. But that, Taylor brought me out on the road really early, and Nate, I do some dates with Nate and our pods on their network, and I've done the cruise, so I'm definitely I'm one of the characters in the Nate world, and I'm very grateful for that. As far as what I've learned, I mean, I just think that what you see in common with the two of them is they just keep writing, man. It's every time you see them, you go, gosh, again? You just came up with you're just kicking yourself that you didn't think of that bit, and you can't believe just how seemingly effortless it was for them. But they're just two people, and it's interesting because they both have very different processes. I don't know how to do the plural of that word, but they're diligent about it, and they just work. They just keep writing, and they just keep digging and mining what they have. And you're like, well, if they've reached that level and they're still doing that, then I got to do it here as well. So, at the end of the day, I for all the whatever, the virality, the following, the whatever, I do think, at least I'd like to think, and I need to think, that it still does come back down to respect the kill. Like, if you go and you give them a great show and they resonate with it, and they'll keep coming back, and that's like a thing that's like, I mean, for me, it's been very slow, but like Portland, like a couple weeks ago, that's a market I've toured over 20 times. And yeah, we sold out 10 shows. It was fantastic. It was big. It was unbelievable, right? But 20 times, either opening for somebody else or my own headline dates. Same thing what you talked about here in Atlanta. Same thing has happened in so many of my places in my career, where like these heliums, they're so good about this. Like Indy's a great example. One night in the small room, weekend in the small room, one night in the big room, holiday weekend in the big room, which is we're kind of taking a loss this weekend, or New Year's, it doesn't matter who we put here, it's going to sell well. Pretty good sales weekend in there. And now I'm coming back to Indy this fall, and I would think it's going to be a very good sales weekend. But that's just, it's just brick by brick. I would love to not, I shouldn't say that, but it would be nice to not be the comedian that has to keep building through touring by playing a market a million times before you start to get some respectable sales there. But and it's the same thing that's happened here. I do the Distillery, and then I do a night at the Ural, and then we do 2 shows at the Ural, and now I do a weekend here. And it's like, sales are modest. But I do think everybody that saw me would come back to see me again. Mm-hmm. The trick is just how do I get them to know I'm coming back? That's
Was social media not converting to tickets? Are you seeing that?
Of course it is, but it doesn't mean that everybody knows that you're coming to town. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to sell a ticket. You have to, first off, someone has to know who you are. That's the first thing. And then they have to know that you're coming to town, which is not a guarantee. They have to see an ad. They have to be on an email list. They have to see your clip. They have to see something. They have to know that you're coming to town. And then third, they have to be available that date, which is not a guarantee, especially with parent fans who are very busy. And then four, they have to have the money to do it, which is getting harder and harder. So we've already, they have to know you. They have to know you're coming to town. They have to be available, and they have to be able to afford it. And then lastly, and probably most importantly, they just have to want to. And some people are fine to see you online. I mean, I get it. I don't love going to sports games anymore. I love sports, but it's pretty comfortable at home. Mm-hmm. And we post a lot of clips. You ever see a movie come out and you're like, I'll see it at home.
Yeah.
I want to see Mortal Kombat 2. I want to, but it's a whole thing. Where's the theater? When's available? So, of course, it is translating to sales, but it is not like if I have 400,000 followers on Instagram, that does not translate across America to 1,000 tickets per city. It's a grind.
Yeah, well, social media in itself is a grind.
Yeah.
You're talking about killing on stage, but part of our job now is even just to be posting on social media consistently.
Yeah, that's the job part.
Yeah, I keep saying, this is the time. I'm going to post consistently. Here we go every day. And then 2 weeks later or even 3 days later, I'm like, oh, well, I don't have an idea. How are we able to stay so consistent with it? And I just keep having these starts and stops with it. Right?
Yeah.
I know the value of it, but I'm not following through on it.
A few things. Kev on stage said this to me years ago. Kev's, like we said, a mutual friend. He goes, the internet is a little bit like comedy, that you got to find your voice on there. And, you got to figure out the thing that you do. And, maybe it's podcast clips, maybe it's just your stand-up, maybe it's some camera-facing stuff, maybe it's some sketches, but there's going to be trial and error. And with the internet, you just have to fail publicly. There's no getting around it. There's and people will tell you they don't like it. They'll tell you sometimes indirectly, and then other times they'll just straight up tell you directly, this sucks. Mm-hmm. And you just have to be able to fail publicly. And your peers, they're going to judge you for this, by the way. You have to swallow that pill. You have to know if you're afraid to post something because you don't want to be in a comics group chat that this is a cringy thing, know that you're right to think that they will. They're going to do that. Can you believe Dustin posted that? They're going to do that. But you got to remember, you're not doing this for comics. You're doing this for fans. You're doing this to create content. You're doing this so you can just find your voice online and figure out the thing that you do. And I'm not some gigantic social media star, but I found some things that tend to work for me, and other things that haven't worked. I mean, there's things that I've just straight up stopped doing because you're well, maybe that had a run or it didn't have a run, or, I thought maybe this idea would work, but it didn't. So it's trial and error, but there is no error without the trial.
Yeah, and you mentioned you schedule out posts as well, so it's not like every day you're waking up oh, I have to post today. What am I going to do? You're thinking it out long term.
Yeah. On every flight I get onto, and I'll get on one tomorrow, I'll just map out the next few days. It's literally just a note in my phone that says content schedule. Mm-hmm. And I'll be well, these are the clips that I know I have coming up. These are the edited ones. This is a thing. Okay, I'm going to Denver soon. I should repost that Denver joke. I should, whatever it may be, I should do a collab with this. Here's an idea that I had, So yeah, I try and just do that in advance so I know, and then I'll put it in the favorites. So I will upload it at home on a Tuesday, but that takes me 5 minutes, So yeah, I try and be good about it, but I understand that sentiment that, it's cringy. but you just gotta get over it, man. Like some of the cringiest stuff in the world that I've posted, people have liked, and comics have told me they have liked, or they don't like, and that's totally fine. But it's just not. It's just that's the job aspect. Like comedy, getting to be a stand-up comedian is like the easiest thing in the world. That's the easiest job in the world. That you get to be a stand-up comedian. I hate when people complain about stand-up comedy. It's so freaking easy. I mean, the job itself, stand-up is not easy to do. Don't get me wrong. But like, when you're in that airport, next time you're in the airport, go tell all the workers in that airport how hard traveling is. Just go tell them. Just go look in the face of the guy cleaning up your pee in the Delta Lounge and tell him how you're suffering for your art. Comedians get so disconnected.
Yes.
If you're go tell open micer you how hard being a stand-up comic is. You're a full-time comic.
Right.
Shut up, man. This is all you dreamed of. When I had a day job, I would just go to the websites. I would go to the improvs. Heck, I would go to Rooster T. Feathers, and I'd be like, gosh, if I could just be one of the guys on the site. So that part is post, man. You've got time. You have nothing when you're doing weekends. Joel, I got here on Friday morning. I'm here till Monday. I'm doing a few hours of work at night. And you're like, yeah, you have time to post. You have time to do all this stuff. You have time to send your emails. You have time, man. Like, I understand that traveling's not easy. Don't get me wrong, but, drink a smoothie, drink a cup of coffee, do some stretches, work out. Your body will be able to handle the flight, and then enjoy sleep until 11 tomorrow. Yeah. Enjoy that you don't have to go dig a ditch somewhere. It's just, I don't have a lot of pet peeves in comedy. My number one is comedians complaining about stand-up comedy. The privilege, the immense privilege to have a job that you care about. That is winning life. It's not being a 1% billionaire. The winning your career, it's not how much money you make. If you have a job that you love, you hit the lottery. And take it from somebody who had a day job of a job he hated till his mid-30s. I didn't hate that job, but I didn't love it. Mm-hmm. You care about your job? Nobody cares about their job, You cry. So, yeah, that's a rant nobody asked for, but I hate it so much.
No, that's a great rant to end on, man. This has been so great. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What clip is going viral right now, by the way?
Oh, I did a Looney Tunes bit.
Okay.
This is an interesting, I'll give an anecdote at the end of this. So I posted a bit about how poorly Looney Tunes is aged when you go back and watch it. And, it's like, this pig, he's got a speech impediment. I'm not going to do the whole bit. This pig, he's got a speech impediment, and, there's this Mexican mouse. That's funny. And we got this cat and bird. They both have speech impediments. And there's this bunny and this hunter. He also has a speech impediment. And he wants to kill the bunny, except for the bunny dresses like a woman. Now he's sexually attracted to the woman. And then the end is like, oh, no, honey, you want to turn on Bluey and learn about empathy? What I didn't realize is that what I would have never thought. I mean, you think about the bits that you've written. You're like, this is the one. Right. This is the one that I was fairly confident would do well online, but what I didn't think is that it was going to be a MAGA trigger. Like, people are like, it's aged fine. What's wrong with us is society. We've aged poorly. I just would have never. I'm pretty internet savvy, but I didn't even see that. It was nowhere on my radar that might get flagged, and that this is my you're one of those woke comedians, and it's so fun. I just would have, but that's like, I don't know if you're the idea of tribal signals. That's what happens, is especially when something goes big online. Tribal signals are that idea that people go, wait, I'm against this. This is the signal that shows that it's against my tribe. Conservatives, MAGA, things are really anyone who's kind of anti-progression, like that idea that we need to go back. And this is not a political rant at all, but the idea that we need to go back, not forward, at least on certain social norms, that signaled that to for whatever reason. And I would have never guessed that. Now, that being said, I'm getting none of that pushback on Threads or TikTok, but I'm getting all of that pushback on Twitter and Facebook.
Interesting.
Because the social medias have political leanings. They really do.
Interesting.
Conservatives are on Twitter, liberals are on Threads, and I want to post a bit that does well on all of them. But
it's engagement, though.
It is engagement. There's no such thing as bad virality. But I always remember this, and again, I know we're going long here, but
you're doing great.
I do two things. One, I picture the numbers. If I feel like I'm getting beat up online or whatever, because when people are like, oh, I'm my hardest critic, then you don't read the comments. People say things to me online that I would never say to myself, and I have pretty low self-esteem. Like I would never look at that Looney Tunes bit that I wrote and then say, this guy's a pedophile.
Right.
You're like, wow, what a leap that you made here. So I always do the numbers because this thing is going like pretty big. So let's say, just looking at one of the social media clips, like it has something like 100,000 likes, which is a ton of likes, 100,000 likes, and then like 500 angry comments. So that's Wembley Stadium. So all of Wembley loves it except one section. Mm-hmm. One section doesn't like it. That's the visitors, friends, and family. They weren't rooting for me in the first place. So it is helpful sometimes to picture the numbers of that. And then also, if somebody doesn't like you, they're right. And if somebody likes you, they're right. It's all a matter of taste. It doesn't really, like that person, if they were like upset by that, they weren't going to like my act. Mm-hmm. They weren't really gonna go in that direct, like they weren't gonna stick with me anyway. So the numbers thing, that I had one more thing that I was gonna say. This was something that I tell myself. This shows why sometimes comments get me down. Of what I tell myself, it doesn't matter. If I think of it later, I'll text you.
We'll put it in post. Just a screenshot.
Yeah. This is it. I have a pie chart. So when you do a bit and it goes viral, not all my bits do, but sometimes, and you'll be stunned. You will be stunned at people who. I had a bit about how you have to drive your kid around a lot all the time, and people were like, "Do you not know about school buses?" And I was like, "Okay, whatever. If you got to get mad, if you need that, if your brain needs that dopamine hit that you need to get online today, and you need to get mad, that's fine. That probably comes from you don't like your job, by the way. I don't need that because I like my job." But 85% of the people like it, the bit. 85% of the people like it. 14% of the people hate it. Hate it. What I'm not including in here is people who are just apathetic about it. And then 1% of the people say it's stolen. That's the 1%. Because I had people going like, this is a Dave Chappelle bit. And I'm like, did I hack Dave Chappelle? Uh-oh.
Right.
And so I looked up the clip. And it's literally 15 seconds of him riffing on Pepe Le Pew. So they're watching 3 minutes of original material, tons of punchlines, and he does 15 seconds on Pepe Le Pew. And they're like, stolen, hack, stolen. Dave Chappelle did this bit in the 90s. You're like, so this has been... We've known about Looney Tunes for a long time. It's been in the public eye for a long time. We're gonna have some ideas. There's gonna be some crossover. So,
but the fact you noticed that 1%, all this positive success, and you're like, but that 1% is saying it's stolen. I have to go research that.
Well, it's the worst thing you could be, other than a pedophile. One of the worst things you could be called as a comic is a thief.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's never been harder to. Remember those like Amy Schumer compilations back in the day? Yeah. I don't think people will do those anymore because there's so much content now that people realize we're all coming to grips with the idea of parallel thought. Now, there are some straight up influencers who are stealing bits.
Yeah.
They'll do it word for word. It happens on the internet every day. And you just kind of have to, like, unless it's you and your face telling that joke, you don't really own that. So in the sense that the internet is just going to grab it and place it. Graham K had a viral tweet years ago that I see hacked all the time about, like, if you're in your 30s, stop asking your friend to help you move. Like, it's not worth a slip disc for a slice of pizza or something like that. Great joke. So we're getting, like, some people just steal, but we're all making content now. So people understand the idea that we only have so many topics that we're talking about. So it's not just because you've heard something similar doesn't mean it's stolen, except for 1% of the population that just has to decide that no one's allowed to have a similar idea.
Yes.
So,
all right. Well, that was good. I'm glad we got that off your chest there.
Sorry.
No, that was great. It worked up. I love it. It's quite an arc there. Well, where would you like people to follow you, or anything you want to end this with?
You can just
or
go to
what?
my website, DustinNickerson.com. Catch me on tour. That's always the stuff.
Perfect. Well, go follow Dustin on social media. Go see him live. He's on the road constantly. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and join our Patreon so we can keep doing more episodes like this. We actually hadn't done an interview in a while, but
really?
we brought it back
Great.
because you were here.
I'm
Very
honored.
special. So thank you, Hot Breath the Verse, and we'll see y'all next week. Thank you, Dustin.
Thanks, y'all.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.